I play the character of Brody. Brody is kind of an easygoing, fun-loving, philandering, grinder-addicted cop who enjoys picking on and laughing at Miles about all of his complete, utter relationship disaster failures. And at the same time, he is kind of harboring this deep-seated need to find someone he can really be with, but he hasn't found anyone yet that he's willing to let in, so as a result he just keeps bouncing around all over the place. I'm like Brody because I had a fairly tumultuous childhood, and it kind of bred a little bit of mistrust in me, and so I spent a good portion of my adolescence and young adult life doing the same thing he does in a different way. I wouldn't let people in, even friends really, to be too exposed to me or know what I was maybe trying to hide, or maybe trying to make sure. I didn't want people to know that I was as weak as I was and as close to breaking as I was. So I could really relate to that in Brody, in that he just, he hooks up with all these people, and he is constantly using his physical body to try and drown out the noise of his emotional self. My favorite part of shooting this movie was the intense schedule, actually, which is ironic because when I first heard what the schedule was and knew it was a feature, I was in sheer panic and just like, this is ridiculous. How can they expect us to shoot this in a week and a half, 10 pages a day? And it turned out to be my favorite thing about it. I come from the theater world, and I've sort of always missed that feeling of life that you get doing theater. Obviously, film, it's cut up, and you shoot this angle and you shoot this little piece and you put them together and you have this flowing thing. But when we shot this movie, it was so fast and so constant, and I would go home and fall asleep Brody and wake up and get right back into him. It almost felt like that continuation that is theater that I missed, where I really got to like just be with this family, a solid time, constant for 12 days, and we made this thing together, and I really loved that experience, more than the luxury perhaps of time and spending a day or two on some huge scene that's drawn out and very technical. It was all connected and all about the story and making sure we captured those moments, and as soon as we did, not getting precious with it, moving on. What makes this film different from other gay films is it's not about being gay at all. It's there isn't a giant dramatic story of coming out and challenges and suffering and justification, which I feel like a huge portion of gay films are, and those films were really important at the time they're made, and I'm sure will still be important, but that's not what this film is. This film is about two people who are friends and have problems just like all other people, and I think that sets it apart, because I don't think it's been a luxury that the gay community has had to just make a movie where a character or more than one character are gay, and that's not like the whole point of the movie. It just happens to be a detail. I also think that it is different because it's not based on stereotypes at all. It's again based on these people and with their real lives and their real careers and their real challenges and how they would exist next to each other. Working with Jack is as easy as could possibly be imagined. He is malleable and easy to trust as an actor, but he also is not so wishy-washy that you don't feel like there's a conflict and a resolution when you're working with someone. Like you want to have that battle of I'm fighting for this and you're fighting for that, but that delicate balance between that and someone has an idea of a scene and they don't give a crap what your idea of the scene is, we somehow reached it, I think, which is that I would come in with my emotions and I would take in what Jack's were, but I would still remember Brody, and vice versa, and that just allowed this beautiful thing to happen whenever we would do a scene, that it could move, it could change, it could be one thing and a second later be something totally different, and we both knew who we were, but we were existing together, and that was such a pleasure. And he also is a very humble person, which is important when you're acting, because acting is such a revealing thing, and you're putting yourself out there for people to see, mock, accept, like, and the person who you first do it to is the person you're in the scene with. So to be with someone who's humble and really makes you feel like they respect what you're doing, they think you're great, they think you're talented, true or not, just allows you to keep opening up, to keep being more comfortable. And Jack just was always, like, from the moment I met him, so nice and so humble and so gracious that I felt like he respected what I did. JC, I really love about him as a person is that he knows so much about so many things, and he's a master of so many things, but he doesn't put it out there. He doesn't come up to you and act like, I am this director and I have all this knowledge and this is my movie and everyone better know it. There's none of that. Like, you could walk on the 10-year plan, and if we weren't actually shooting, you wouldn't get the vibe of that's the director. And people do that. They have like an aura where they want you to know they're important, and they want you to know they're the one with the power. JC doesn't do that, and as a result, I think he gets even more power because he gets everyone's best insights, everyone's best knowledge, everyone's best performance. They want to give it to him. They feel trusting. They feel like it matters to him. When you feel like someone doesn't need you and doesn't respect you, you don't give to them. He never gives you that idea. Like, he probably doesn't need a given actor or a given gaffer or a given DP. Yes, you are replaceable, but JC would never make you feel like that. When you're talking to him, you're talking to him. When you're acting with him, you're acting with him. He's 100% there. He 100% respects what you're doing, and it makes you feel really safe and confident. My hope for this movie is that it can be a movie that people watch when they need it. And be that whether they're in a low place and they need a simple, funny pick-me-up, or whether they're in a bad relationship and they need to learn a lesson from somebody else. But just that people see this film when they need it, gay, straight, young, old, and that however that happens, whether it be in an online venue or at some tiny screening in a tiny town or a big one, that it gets to the eyes that need it or could appreciate it.